Welcome to VHS Voyage, where we're on a journey to find, watch, and discuss movies on VHS we've never seen or never knew existed. I'm Matt.
I'm Devin.
Today's episode, we're going to talk about
the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
All right, it's time for the final October movie here on VHS Voyage, and it is, of course, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. This is one that Devin has seen recently, fairly recently, right?
It's one of the first movies I watched this year.
That's right.
Early in the year.
Sometimes a movie is so batshit crazy and insane from start to finish that it just is a blast to get through. And that is what this movie is. It is absolutely insane from start to finish. Before we get into it, hit us with some facts and information.
Yep, this is directed by Tobe Hooper, who directed the original as well, so he came back. He also did write it as well. This stars Dennis Hopper, Carolyn Williams, Jim Sydow, and Bill Moseley. This is not the poster for the movie, but the original poster, I love it because it's a parody of The Breakfast Club.
Really?
Yeah, so they recreate the Breakfast Club poster, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre style. Dennis Hopper said at one point this is the worst movie he'd ever done in his life, and then a few years later he did Mario, and then he said that was the worst movie he ever did in his life. So we've watched both of Dennis Hopper's least favorite movies he ever did.
And they're both fun movies.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Dennis Hopper, you don't even know, man.
Well, he's dead, so he's not gonna see
he is dead, isn't he?
Yeah. So
damn.
You just talk to a dead man.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
This movie has very average ratings, but apparently it's picked up just like a huge cult following over the years. And you can see why. Like when you watch it, you're like, yeah, that's like a cult following movie. Oh, yeah. Right? So you can tell this is a big influence on Rob Zombie. I mean, he said it before, but like House of a Thousand Corpses is basically Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Oh, especially this one. Yeah. This one has serious House of a Thousand Corpses vibes.
And it has Bill Moseley in it.
It does, yep. So Bill Moseley, who plays Otis,
yeah,
in that trilogy, is in this movie. A lot younger though. I think they knew they couldn't like capture the magic of the first movie, so they were like, let's just make the most batshit insane thing ever, because it's completely different in tone from the first movie, just way like different. Drastically different. Yeah, there was a big like gap in release actually from the first movie to this one. I mean,
it's like 12 years.
Yeah, which is shocking because back then, if you had a horror movie that came out that was super low budget and did really good, you immediately just pumped out sequels like crazy, but that did not happen with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It took 12 years for them to make a sequel.
In the original, in 1974, there was one survivor from the group of friends. Her name was Sally. She escaped, she survived, and so this movie takes place 13 years later. The police were never able to find the killers, but there have been killings all across the state, many of which involving a chainsaw. So everybody knows the killers are still out there, but they don't know where they are. One of our protagonists in the movie, who is Dennis Hopper's character, Lieutenant Enright. Two of the characters that were killed in the original movie were his brother's kids, so his niece and nephew, and one of them was the guy in the wheelchair in the original movie. So he is on a mission to find these killers and get revenge. This movie opens up in the most insane way possible, dude. It opens up with these two crazy 80s, just insane dudes driving, drinking, shooting a revolver at signs, playing chicken with people on the road, freaking prank calling a radio station and leaving the line tied up, which is where we get introduced to our other protagonist, Stretch, who is a female DJ at the local radio station. Nighttime rolls around, they're still doing their thing. The truck that they ran off the road earlier finds them. They're on a bridge. Leatherface pops out of the back of the truck with a giant chainsaw. He's got like a dead body strapped to his body on the front. He's just like cutting their vehicle with the chainsaw and just like cutting into it. And these guys are freaking out. And he ends up chopping one of the dudes like heads off at the freaking forehead. And then while they're doing this, while they're getting killed by Leatherface, they're on the phone with the radio station. And so Stretch hears all this, has it all recorded on tape.
When I watched the first movie, it like gave me anxiety. It's like a very anxiety. I'll never watch it again. I love it. I actually think it's perfect. I gave it 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I think it's perfect. I'll never watch the first movie again. It's like a Safdie Brothers movie. I'll never watch Uncut Gems and Good Time again, ever.
Very intense.
Because it just makes you feel bad, but it's still very good. That's what the first movie did. I was like, you know what? I might as well watch the second one. And I stayed up till like 3 a.m. watching this movie.
Nice.
Because I couldn't, from the opening scene, I was like, oh, I love this. Yeah. This is not what I was expecting at all. It's batshit insane.
Stretch is at a chili cook-off, And bro, at the chili cook-off, the dad of the crazy dad of the family wins the chili cook-off competition. And they're like, "What's your secret?" And he's like, "Oh, it's all the meat." And you're just sitting here like, "Yeah, that's human meat."
And a woman like spits a bone out of her mouth, and he's like, "Oh, it's a piece of corn."
Yeah, it's his little piece of corn.
I got a real good eye for prime meat. Runs in the family. Whoop, whoop. It's one of those hard-shell peppercorns.
Lieutenant Enright, he goes to a chainsaw
This is
store.
my favorite scene in the movie.
Okay, you
dude.
talk about it then.
Bro, he goes into this chainsaw store with this old man working, and he just starts grabbing chainsaws, and he's like, how can I hold these as weapons? And then he's like, grabs this big ass chainsaw with a blade like this long, dude.
Yep.
And then he just grabs his money, throws it on the table, and takes his chainsaws and walks outside. He turns this chainsaw on and just starts beating the living shit out of this block of wood.
And the old man's like, he's getting all excited.
He's just taking his anger out on this wood, acting like it's the family.
So then Lieutenant Enright ends up meeting Stretch. He finds out that she has this tape of the killing that took place, and he tries to convince her to play it live on the radio show because he suspects the killers are in town, but really what he's trying to do is bait the killers into coming to the radio station so that he can find them and follow them. So then we cut to the radio station, and this is an absolutely insane sequence. It's Stretch there with LG. The night ends. It's like midnight. LG goes out to like get some coffee or something. Stretch stays and starts doing some paperwork. And she hears a noise. She goes to investigate, and it's what's the dude's name? Shock Top or something?
Chop Top.
Chop Top is in there, and he's just like batshit crazy, messed up teeth, crazy looking hair, just real dirty, real creepy. And he's talking to her, and he's like wanting to tour the place, and he's just so creepy, dude.
Yeah, and he's like picking parts of his head off and eating it.
Yeah, he's got a what do you call those things?
Clothes hanger.
Clothes hanger.
Yeah.
And he's lighting up the end of it with like a lighter and like scratching his head and like
Eating
peeling,
it. He's
peeling
eating
stuff
like
off.
flesh off his own head because they're cannibals.
Yeah,
so
right.
he's like eating
Yeah.
himself basically.
Yeah, that's his little snack.
Yeah.
You know, it's like popcorn.
It's so gross.
Like skin. And then he sees like the record room or whatever, and then Leatherface pops out.
It's a really good jump scare. It did not get me this time, but the first time I watched it, that got me good.
Yeah, I didn't
because
see
they
that
build it
coming.
up really good. This is a really good jump scare.
Yeah.
Oh, will you keep the golden oldies? And maybe the new music's in
Now, you talk about the rest of the scene. Because it gets weird, man. It gets weird.
So Leatherface chases the woman into a room. She locks herself into the room to where Leatherface can't get in there.
Yeah.
Leatherface gets into the room with the girl. So they feed off fear. So she basically acts like, I'm not scared of you.
Right.
Leatherface proceeds to stick the chainsaw between her legs and have an orgasm with the chainsaw.
Yep.
And he orgasms so hard that it sends him into an absolute rage with his chainsaw. And he destroys this room with the chainsaw.
Yep.
And then he spares her.
Yep.
I am not making this
No,
up.
this actually happened. I'm sitting here like, I'm watching this scene. I'm like, what is happening right now?
Dude.
Yep.
And then she actually gets spared and proceeds to start following them.
Yeah, she starts following them, and she finds their place. And then Dennis Hopper's character, Enright, shows up as well because he followed her because he was using her as bait, right? Yeah. Even the outside of their property is really creepy.
Well, it's an abandoned amusement park.
Oh, it was an amusement
Yes,
park.
it's an abandoned amusement park.
Oh.
Because they drive past a sign and it's like something amusement park.
Yeah.
So it looks really cool on the outside though.
She's standing there, Enright's there, and there's like trap door opens up and she falls down into the tunnel under the amusement park, which is just a pure hellscape.
I'm dead.
Before we go any further, let's talk about the set design of this place.
So
dude.
good.
Oh my God, there's like bones and dead bodies everywhere and bone furniture and bone light fixtures made of bones.
Also, I always love Christmas lights in a movie.
Yeah.
They always just look so cool. There's Christmas lights all in this
everywhere,
place.
yeah.
The sets look so sick in this underground layer.
Oh yeah, really. It was very disturbing.
Yeah.
And it was just like a journey into madness, into just pure
and
hell.
it's like a maze and there's traps and all kinds.
Yeah.
It's like, it almost feels like you could never escape.
At the same time, Dennis Hopper, he goes into the tunnels as well. He's got his giant chainsaw and also in holsters.
He's got chainsaw holsters, dude.
He's got 2 small chainsaws and some holsters on his side. The rest of the movie is kind of like a drawn out climax where Stretch is trying to figure out how to escape this place while avoiding the family, and Dennis Hopper is making his way to them, destroying the place as he goes.
We probably shouldn't spoil too much, but this final battle involves things collapsing, chainsaw battles, grenades, chainsaws going in asses, people throwing hammers.
Yes. A movie like this is just so fun and just insane that you don't even care about the logic or anything else, because it's just like you're just so captivated by everything you're seeing.
Yep. And it's so 80s with the music, the lighting, the characters.
Yeah, if you've never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, go into it not expecting a scary movie.
No, it's not scary at all.
Scary. It's just insane, fun, fast-paced. That is it for October and tonight's episode of VHS Voyage on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I'm Matt.
I'm Devin.
And we'll catch you guys next week.